welcome. So what I wanted to share with you today is something that I find back a lot in Yin Yoga, and that helped me through the years, and that is to build up resilience. Resilience is this ability to bounce back from a challenging place to a safe space within ourselves. From when the threat is very high and something might rise, the fear in us, to bring ourselves back to that safe place. And the more we are able to do so when something feels unsafe, uncomfortable, challenging us, the better we're trained in being resilient, the easier life becomes. And this is also how it works for our nervous system. Yes, we can train the autonomic nervous system, and I'm sure that other teachers will talk about that. We can train our autonomic nervous system to bring ourselves into challenging positions, for example, into challenging yoga postures, into maybe a challenging but not life-threatening situation. And then use the breath, for example, like a prolonged exhalation, to connect through this relaxation response to the parasympathetic nervous system. So bringing ourselves away from this unsafe place that might bring up some stress and a challenge, which is connected to the sympathetic part of the nervous system. And just by a simple deep inhale and a good long exhale, allowing ourselves to shift to the other side, and then eventually finding our center back again. So I came across this nice writing, or it's actually a story, an ancient story out of Daoist tradition, which is so connected to Yin Yoga as well. And it talks about a Taoist farmer and how he actually deals with these challenges. So I'm gonna read that, and then this one is open for discussion if you like, or just for yourself to ponder on, and also how you deal with that for yourself, knowing also that this is what we're training through our Yin Yoga practice. So this is the story. There was once a farmer in ancient China who owned a horse. "You are so lucky," his neighbors told him, "to have a horse to pull the cart for you." "Maybe," replied the farmer. One day, the farmer didn't latch the gate properly, and the horse ran off. "Oh no, what a disaster!" his neighbors cried. "Such terrible misfortune for you." The farmer replied, "Maybe." A few days later, the horse returned, bringing in 6 new wild horses. "How fantastic," the neighbors said. "You are so lucky. Now you're rich. Now you have 6 horses extra." And the farmer replied, "Maybe." The following week, the farmer's son was breaking in one of these wild horses, and he got kicked off the back of the horse and broke his leg. "Oh no," the neighbor said, "such bad luck, all over again." And the farmer replied, "You might guess, maybe." Then the next days, soldiers came to the farmer's land, and they took away his son to fight in the war. And then of course the neighbor said, "This is not so good for you. Now you have to work the land on your own." But actually, when the army had a good look, they saw the son was not able to fight in the war because he broke his leg. And then the neighbors replied, "Ah, you're so lucky again. Now your son can stay home." And the farmer replied, "Maybe." So the farmer actually, it's almost like he didn't care. Every situation, every challenge, like the neighbors thinking, "Oh, that's a challenge because now you have 6 horses to take care of, and now you have this, and now you have bad luck, and this is good and this is bad." But the farmer actually always stayed in this like middle position. It was not good, it was not bad, it was just what it is. He didn't view any situation as a big challenge, and nothing actually threw him out of his center. So that is very interesting. This story of the Daoist farmer is really showing us that we actually never know how a certain situation will turn out for us. If something will turn out for the good or the better, because eventually we don't know. And we cannot control this future, as you can see. You know, we could say, "Oh, he was lucky that his son broke his leg because now the son could now go to the army." But yeah, we don't know if this would have been a good opportunity, or this would have been bad luck, or whatever would happen even next in this story. Even now the son is still with his father at the farm and all the horses. So this shows us actually that there is no good or bad. There is no luck or unluck. The only thing that is there is actually the way we respond. And I'm not saying here now that you have to go through life careless, not caring what's happening. But there is a way to train our response. And our response has, of course, a big reflection to our environment and to how other people respond to us. Because there's always this interaction of energy going on. Now, coming back to my own experience in Yin Yoga, I learned through Yin Yoga to become more resilient. So being put in certain challenges, and one of the first challenges I came across for myself was like to really be present and not to really engage with all these thoughts in my head, because the body was quite able to be in all these shapes for a longer period of time. But the mind, like my inner critic, was so high. And then when things maybe became a little bit more challenging or uncomfortable, it started to tell me as well, like, "Oh, I don't want to be here. Why is the teacher so silent? There was no entertainment. I want to get out of this pose. What am I doing here?" To making my shopping list for the next day, or fully like floating off with an experience I had the day before with someone. So it was very hard to stay present. And that was my biggest challenge. And coming back to being in a challenge and then training our response to it, Yin, we can do that actually in quite a comfortable way, because everything we come across when we are in those shapes, like if they're uncomfortable or their sensations are very nagging or whatever it is, we also know through doing the practice over and over again that all these sensations and this discomfort disappears when we come out of the pose. So keeping that in mind, the challenge might not even be so big anymore, because we're training our nervous system and we also know what can happen after. So it's easier then to be there. We can choose to respond from that knowing, and we can to build up that in ourselves, because that might not be there when you start with this kind of practice. Use like a prolonged exhalation. You train the nervous system, the autonomic part of the nervous system, there where we connect to the fight and flight response through the sympathetic, and the relaxation response, or also called the rest and digest, through our parasympathetic side of the nervous system. And from there we find this middle way. Even though the challenge might come up, we breathe with it and then start to embrace that challenge. Yes? When the obstacles come in our practice, we're there, we're present, we observe them instead of wanting to change them right away. And observing them also brings this relaxation response. We don't have to respond right away. When we observe, we actually don't really respond. We're just there, present. So this has been one of my biggest learning through Yin Yoga, and this is something I doing my best to apply on a daily basis outside of my practice of the yoga mat, because this is where it starts. We can do from Pringle, pretzel, advanced yoga postures and breathing techniques and whatever in our practice, or being for, I don't know, 20 minutes in a certain yin posture and feel fully blissed out. Yes, no challenge there. Amazing. The rebound, wow, I felt so much energy flowing through my body. But then after my practice, I step off the yoga mat and my neighbor comes to me and starts to complain about something. This is where the practice comes in. How do I respond to what is coming to me? This is coming back to a little bit now, I realized, to what I was talking about 2 weeks ago. This famous quote of Pattabhi Jois, the founder of Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga, this quote that I interpreted like a long time, maybe not in the right way. Practice, practice, all is coming. Yes? Everything is coming to us. And we practice to practice our response to our outer environment, but also really important to our inner environment, because it might be the neighbor complaining to me, but it could be also my inner critic complaining to me. Yes, it could be my own thoughts that I'm responding to. So this is why we practice. And with this, I'll leave you here. I'm curious if this story of the Daoist farmer, if it resonates with you, and what challenge you maybe came across in your practice. It might be something really valuable for us as well as teachers to support you with, yeah? Because this is just one example, but maybe you have an injury, or maybe there's something else going on, and breathing through an injury is maybe not the best plan. Yes? So any challenge that comes up for you, let us know. We're here to support and to evolve together. Looking forward to connect again. Looking forward to watch the responses underneath. And yes, keep on practicing. Namaste to you.